What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Kong video. Can't really say it's Kong Skull Island, because it's not. Today we're going to be reviewing Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. It's the comic book from 2017. It's the comic book adaptation, well, not adaptation. Comic book tie-in, sequel, prequel, both, to Kong Skull Island. Written by Arvid Nelson, colors and art by Zid. So here you go. Here's the trade version of it. Here's the, the volume of it. It's all 4 issues. I do have the single issues for 1, 2, and 3, but not 4 because my comic shop was like, we're not going to buy 4. And so I didn't get it. That's actually the reason why it took me until now to make the review, is because my comic shop just didn't get issue 4, and then they never got this. And then like Barnes & Noble and the other bookstores, they also didn't get that. So I was basically always hoping deep inside of my heart that someday one of them would wind up with it, and no one ever did, so I just ordered it off Amazon. All right, let's review this guy. We'll run through the story here. The story opens in 2012, where a message in a bottle, not really, it's in a bag, is recovered from the South Pacific. It's delivered to a boat. I don't know who recovers it. Is it Monarch that recovers it? Someone recovers it, and it's a Monarch bag. We cut back to 1995. Aaron Brooks is arguing with his father about how they should proceed with Skull Island. Turns out he discovered it. He found the notes for it anyways, and he's like, Dad, why didn't you tell me about this island? Basically, he gets upset and then runs away. He goes and flies to Skull Island because he wants to go check out what's on the island and find out if Kong is suitable to be king there. Aaron crashes on the island after being attacked by some monsters. He flies in a little osprey and gets attacked. Once again, this is all because he wants to see if Kong is able to be king. He wants to see firsthand if Monarch needs to intervene on the island. Things go wrong. Monsters show up. People die. The Iwi and Kong swing in to save the day. Basically, Kong's whole thing in this comic is he'll just show up at the very end of each issue and save the day. Or, in the case of issue 2, he won't show up and Kong will save the day in between issues 2 and 3 without being seen on screen. One of the crew members, Rikio, drinks some red berry juice and he begins to see these visions, these hallucinations of the past. He gets these psychic powers. It's quite a big development for the MonsterVerse. I remember doing lots of videos back in the day about how this was a big game changer for the MonsterVerse because it opened the door for things like the Mothra fairies. So like I said, Rikio drinks some red berry juice. He begins to see visions of the past. Turns out the Skullcrawlers were this invasive species that showed up on Skull Island and just started wiping out Kong's species. They weren't supposed to be there. By the time the Iwi arrived on the island, the only members of Kong's species that were left were Kong's parents, who were confirmed to be the 2 strongest members of the species, and of course they breed and create the strongest member of the species. A giant Biollante looking crocodile rises from the ground and attacks the crew, and then we flash back again. Turns out the Boneyard was the home of Kong's parents. They defended their home until the very end when Kong was born into battle. He watched his mother and father die in front of him, giving him some sort of divine anger that forced his evolution so that he became the strongest member of his species. Back in present day, Rikio goes crazy, killing multiple Monarch members so that his crew can be stuck on the island long enough to see Kong, because they're going to evacuate before they get a chance to meet Kong. But Rikio really wants to see Kong up close and personal. In order to do that, and in order to test if the Iwi are actually worthy of Kong's praise, he blows up the Iwi wall and allows multiple full-grown Mother Longlegs to storm the village, killing people. Kong charges in to save the day. Like I said, he does this a lot throughout the 4-issue run, but this is the only time we actually get to see Kong in the flesh doing it. Before, we only get like a foot and a hand. But now Kong runs in and saves the day, and in addition to killing all the Mother Longlegs, he kills Rikio as punishment for him destroying the wall, because Kong likes the Iwi people and wants to protect them. Aaron Brooks then decides that Kong is indeed a hero and is needed for the balance of the island and for the world. We cut back to 2012, where Houston Brooks has recovered the message. He has looked through it all, and he has decided that he needs to go looking for his son Aaron after his retirement, which we learn in the Godzilla King of the Monsters novelization, does not occur. He does go and look for his son, but he does not retire. There's only a few characters worthy of talking about from this comic storyline. It's only 4 issues long, so you don't really get to develop many of the characters. There's only a few of them that get any highlight. Number 1 is Houston Brooks. It's a lot of fun to see him return. I love the way that Zid, I guess the artist, draws him to look just like Corey Hawkins except aged up. That's really cool. It's great world building also, the fact that he mentions Sarazawa and the fact that he's so involved in Monarch. It's really cool to see all these little interconnected things that tie everything together in a way that makes everything feel much bigger and really cool. Aaron Brooks, the son of Houston Brooks, is the other character who's a real standout in this comic storyline. It's really interesting to see the conflict that occurs between the multiple different generation of Monarch members. Of course, Aaron, it's like he's not a bad guy. He's a likable character. He's clearly a good kid, but he does not agree with the handling of Skull Island that Monarch is doing, which is we're just going to let it be. He wants to take a much more active stance in the island, whereas Monarch just wants to remain hands off. And so that's where their conflict comes in, which is interesting to see, you know, the difference between those who were there and those who weren't, and the way they have some conflict about that. Aaron is also a pretty good leading man throughout the whole story. Like I said, he's pretty likable, so you get to experience the journey with him, which is fun. Rikio is one of the only other characters that stands out. He's the only member of Aaron's crew that heads to Skull Island that's memorable, and that's only because he goes crazy. It could have used a bit more explanation on why he goes crazy, because basically he drinks some juice, gets some telepathic psychic powers that we never really explore or develop, and then he just starts killing people. I would have liked a little bit more with that, but again, it's only a 4-issue run, so you don't really have time to develop the characters that much. And the last character is Otto, or Ato. I don't know how they want to say his name. He's this Iwi kid, but he can speak English because Hank Marlowe taught his father. I think it's really awkward seeing the Iwi speak, but it's alright. I mean, he moves the plot forward, and that's kind of what he's used for. It'd also be interesting to see if they continue that development in the movies, having Iwi that are able to speak and are able to kind of be quite intelligent along with the other human characters. None of the other characters in here stand out, but that's not to say that there's any bad characters in the story. There's not a single character that I disliked, and you know, most of them, they're just serviceable. They're just cannon fodder, so they do their job. The art in the story, the art by Zid, it's amazing. I don't know what Zid is. What is Zid? Because when you look it up online, Arvid Nelson is the one who it says did the art. Whoever did the art for this story, whether it be Arvid Nelson, Zid, or if they're the same person, or if Zid's a company, I don't know. Whoever did the art, it's done amazingly. The art in this storyline is the best of the MonsterVerse comic series, whether that's Godzilla Awakening or Godzilla Aftershock or this one by far takes the cake for me. It really captures the feel of Kong Skull Island. Not only does it use the color palette, but it also returns to the same locations, makes them look just like they did in the movie, and it also has the character designs making them look just like they do in the movies. It's got the most realistic approach to drawing, to art style. A lot of the other ones like Aftershock and Awakening, those are quite stylized in comparison. I think this is far superior to those. In terms of the stories, world building, and fan service, I love it. Lots of great Easter eggs in here. I have a full video on that, so there's lots of great Easter eggs, lots of really interesting developments in here, and we really do get the sense that Monarch has expanded in the time since we caught it in the 1970s. It really does help bridge the gap between the 70s and when we pick back up, mostly in King of the Monsters. 2014 has a weird depiction of Monarch in the MonsterVerse where it's kind of much more small scale feeling than it does in all the other movies, but it's cool to see the development of Monarch here. By far, overall, I think this is the best MonsterVerse comic. Not only does it have great use of the monsters, but it's also just got the best story and the characters that I find the most likable. It's also pretty brisk. The pacing is really quick, so you just kind of fly through it in one read without really thinking about it too much, whereas with Godzilla Awakening, it feels like I had to trudge through that one because I didn't really love the story in that one. None of the characters I thought were all that good in that storyline. And then in Godzilla Aftershock, it was mostly just, come on, let's get to the next Godzilla part because that's what I want to read. Whereas with Kong, I thought it was pretty good with the characters. The characters I thought were good. So that's my overall kind of general gist of the comic series. If you guys read it, let me know what you guys think about it. If I were to rate this comic series, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Don't remember what I gave Godzilla Awakening, but it doesn't matter because my ratings are never consistent. All that matters is that I liked this more than I liked Godzilla Awakening, and that is Skull Island, The Birth of Kong, that, like I said, came out in 2017 to go along with Kong Skull Island. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. D-Man, out.